back a little bit, but hello. I didn't. I may go out and put the days and things as well. But it is a Jack of Spades week. So here we are at the end of the year. This is amazing. We went almost a full year. I think we started maybe in February, March. But yeah, I have to say that the consistency I've definitely appreciated and have been amazed. Uh, Something consistent within the cards, which can't say that because we used to get on Clubhouse almost every day, every morning.
Every single day, yo. Every single day we were on there. And like early.
How long was it? Like a year that you guys did that for?
I want to say, I want to say like I did a solid year showing up damn near every day, even if I had to get off to go to work, but I would be on at like 7 in the morning when we started. It was, and you would come on and you'd be in because you had moved to California.
Yeah.
Nutso. But it was fun. I loved it. Like that is probably like that baby step that I needed to kind of initiate me even like being on camera at this point in time. You know what I mean? So it's all, and I actually think now that I think about it, I think my Clubhouse anniversary is in this week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think I got on the 4 Clubs Day. Yes, I did, which is in this week that we've been in, which, holy crap, see? And that's how these cards show up. Like, if that doesn't like give like a, you know, because I just now like realized that, holy crap, because when I got on Clubhouse this week for like, I don't even know what I was on there for. I jumped into a room for just a few minutes and I had the balloon. So, and it was the 4 Clubs, which is my Neptune card. And I believe now at like 3 years of, you know, with that Clubhouse thing. So yeah, wow. In the jackets. Wow. That's crazy. And what's even crazier is this is the year anniversary of me going on the Entrepreneur Show. Cause that happened you're on mute.
I didn't know that happened so long ago. That feels like so short a time ago.
It's been a year that it was the show aired this week a year ago in the Jack of Spades week, which is that Jack of Spades for me is my result card for life. So I like to, that's why I always talk about the weekly, you know, knowing the weekly card and how you can connect it to your own life and what shows up in those weeks is so foretelling of like the energy, you know?
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Especially speaking of the Jack of Spades initiation, you know. So you're going to get initiated, and also it says settling of debts, right? So there's some type of work that may be done, also going into the public eye, you know, in some type of way. So especially like getting on Clubhouse, going out and introducing yourself, your skills, talents, or whatever it may be. You know, 11 is like a what do you call power number or super numbers? You know, so they have a lot of variety of picking and choosing what they may want to do or gaining a lot of skills. But the ultimate goal is to taking those skills out and making sure that you prosper from those, you know. And not to say that all jacks are prosperous and because there's the other side is the laziness or not holding up or stepping up to the challenge. So that's a huge step, like you said, you Gina, getting out, stepping up, getting on Clubhouse, getting into the public, you
huge
know.
Super big for me. It really is. I mean, it was big and I remember even like the first time I spoke in a room, the nerves that it was bad. I really like see that the growth that I've done to even just be here on this damn camera right now from getting into that very first room that I spoke in. I remember even calling Diamond afterwards, like, did I sound nervous? Because I was so freaking nervous. So yeah, it was it's crazy when you really put it together and connect it. And I'm glad I did it, you know, because it's kind of what built me to even do that show, get on there. And that was a whole wreck that day. I mean, a whole wreck. But, you know, so yeah, it's funny. And even this week, that's even funny because this week went into the office and filmed content for social media. So I was on camera again this week.
Wow.
Even for the business. So that's just, that Jack of Spades apparently wants me to be out there. When I really stop and think of, like, holy crap, like, considering that this is 3 years and this week that I got on Clubhouse. And then a year ago I did the show. And then in this same week now I'm filming content and being holy crap.
I mean,
Mover and a shaker, that Jack of Spades.
Guess so.
Mm-hmm.
It wants me out. We gotta put myself out there. And the crazy thing is like I've known that especially when it comes to my business and my products and like the story, like how important that is to put it, like everyone's like, you gotta put yourself out there. And I'm like, oh, why? But you see the connection, like you can even see it via social media. I'll get more views or whatever when it's me, you know, and not just products or stuff like that. So if you see that people do, even in the AI times and the Pluto moving into Aquarius, people still want that human touch, that human connection, I think, at least for now.
In Aquarius, the Jack of Spades, it's Mars. You're on it. The Jack of Spades is Mars, Uranus. So that it is somewhat like Pluto in Aquarius. You know, maybe,
Yeah.
but still that fire, that Mars rulership sitting in that in Aquarius. So with the Jack of Spades, like you said, working with the public, you know, making those connections with people, because the Six of Diamonds is Venus for the Jack of Spades. So it says like there's karmic debt. I was like, what debt? Like, you know, before looking at the spread and just reading over the summary of it, it speaks about there's a debt that is owed, or it knows it can't pass on to better things without paying all of its debts, you know, to people. So looking at that Venus and the Six of Diamonds, you know, there's work or connection to people around it, that it must repay. So what is that? You know, so for us, it was, you know, we went through all the Diamonds classes and this and that, you know, so it was like we was working with her and for her, of course, the Eight of Diamonds, and working to pay off and giving our knowledge to people, you know, because education and knowledge is also tied to that Six of Diamonds, and what they do, they help and guide other people. So it's also like the debt that you are to society, almost, you know, of giving and guiding and showing direction to people.
And I think too with that Jack of Spades or the Six of Diamonds and Venus, because what's the Pluto card for the Jack of Spades? The Ace of Diamonds. So there is that sense of like responsibility too. You know what I mean? Like, and we jokingly always say, you know, Jacks want to play, and you know, they can be that lazy, that complacent energy. But I think that with this energy, you know, it's gonna get what it puts into it. You know what I mean? With that six, you get back what you put in. You know, it's a reflection too. So if it doesn't, you know, it can take its time, but I think also too, like it has to. There's that sense, because that Six of Diamonds and Venus one, it probably, you know, attracts a lot of karmic relationships for debts to be settled, so that it can initiate to, you know, the higher levels that it's here to get to. But again, like you said, if it doesn't fulfill those debts, you know, then I think that's when the Jack of Spades will escape and run away, and rather not like there's that sense of responsibility, because then, oh yeah, the Six of Hearts not there, but it's just, it has the opportunity for more an expansion with those tens. But again, it has to, you know, balance things out. It has to be responsible.
It has to show up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the king and the queen would be fighting over what the jack does, right? Just like the kids. Like that's part of like what it sounds like to me is that everyone needs to show up so that jack, being that more adolescent, young, wild card energy, right? Like standing there with the king and the queen and the jack. I've been really in the pure spread a lot lately in my head, just wondering what it wants to look like in the reality. And there would need to be peace in all their hearts, right? So if the jack wasn't doing what it needed to do, the queen or the king would be affected, right, by the jack, because, or they'd have to say sovereign, but it would still affect the house. Like it wouldn't be a harmonious place, right? So each being in the spread, especially up there at the top, needs to be accountable and responsible to being the king, the queen, and the jack to help oversee that we're all in balance in some kind of harmony, and that it's not about, you know, acting out and letting everybody else's life go crazy because you don't feel like doing what you're supposed to do.
That's funny you say that. This week, Kanye West came out and did a surprise or pop-up show, as he always does, right? And his daughter is a Jack of Spades. So this week she was she did her artist debut this week.
Oh, nice.
You know, and what you reminded me of is what he said. He said that his daughter ripped up the couches in his mom and her mom's home just to be on stage with him that week. You know,
Wow.
so that imbalance, you know, the
Yeah,
miscommunication.
that's I'm seeing that in here and in this work I took on with these young girls and stuff at the place. The vicious way that they're willing to use their emotions to get what they want. Never in my life would, and I'm a willful little wench, you know, like I went, like never would I consider the extremes and the things that they'll say. I'm like, don't you get it? Like, you can't say that. Oh no, you know, like, I mean, Jesus, my grandson said the most horrible things to me the other day, and I was just like, I felt so sad. I started to cry, but I really felt sad for him. I was like, what's happening that you could say that to me? Like, what's happening in our world that somebody so little and innocent could say that to me because they got to take a bath? Do you know what I mean? Like what? Like, what happened? Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be dramatic, but it really been touching me. It's like, boy, people just going for it, like not recognizing how that's so hurtful or so mean. And more than anything, after, I mean, when I freak out and don't, you know, show all my colors, if you will, I feel bad. I don't want to be a jerk.
And it's the youth, and speaking of the Jack of Spades and the youthfulness around it, right? There's also the essence of stuck or fixed, you know, around your idea of certain things. And again, we talked about the responsibility in the six of diamonds. So there's this responsibility of learning, taking on information, learning new things, you know, working with your elders, of course, right? And having to grow up or take responsibility and do things that you may not want to do. You know, nobody really wants to grow.
Well, that's what adolescent is, you know. You know, I'm in this wrap up of the mom and the archetype of mom, and I was reflecting with someone, and I said, you know, this is not to be dramatic, but I'll just be real. By no intention was I ever wanting to be a mother. You know, like that was not like this little girl someday is going to be like, that was not my, like, I didn't want to be responsible for everybody. You know, I wanted to be the brat side of the King of Diamonds. I didn't want to be the leader. Like, I didn't want to deal with all that stuff. Right. So, having the children, though, when I've been doing a bunch of stuff like making things, just having a rite of passage to kind of close the door, can't think of anything else that would have matured me or grown me or helped me develop certain parts of myself. I don't think anything else could have done what being a parent did. You know, but there is a way that I have to not be a little brat myself, not let my adolescent stuff take over. Like, I have to grow up and be an example of somebody who can manage all of her parts and be considerate of the big picture as much as possible, right? So all of us, like, I think it's a collective rite of passage that we're all moving from adolescent to adult right now in some type of evolution thing. And then the adolescent foundation of our characters, we're willful and we can do damage. Do you know? So to recognize that that's something that needs to get kind of met with some awareness of what it is that we're willful for, because sometimes it seems like people just fight to fight. And to me, like, that's just dumb. Like, I mean, I do a lot of dumb things, but I don't just fight to fight. I'm like, I don't want to fight with you. Like, let's figure out what's up. I mean, once we are in a good way with each other, we can bust each other and laugh till we're crying. And I might say some fighting, like, funny stuff, but I don't want to just, like, come at you like,
yeah.
What?
And it says Mars, you know, so it's Mars. It's Mars and the Sun. So expressing yourself, your personality, and the spiritual spread. He was talking about the spiritual spread and expressing yourself and speaking and talking in certain ways that may be shocking to others. That Mars, Uranus, right? Not knowing what to expect, you know, from what they may do or what they may say, and we attention and to the kings, and even the kings and queens, you know, they have to own up to the responsibility, and so, and it happens young, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, you taught me when you're the first daughter, you're doing whatever mom says for everybody. Come on.
You said what?
When you're the first daughter, you're doing whatever you got to do for everybody. You know what I mean? And I'm not complaining because I gave that up, but I'm just recognizing that this emotional use of our personalities to get our way is, I think, more hurtful than helpful.
I think adults have temper tantrums. They just show up different than what a toddler would do. But even then, I've seen adults like lose their shit, you know, in which they are just like grown up temper tantrums.
Yeah,
because it's your temper, and how do you deal with it, right, without it becoming a whole tantrum? And I think as you mature, that's what you're really just learning, is how do I deal with these feelings, these emotions that cause me these sudden bursts of maybe anger, or it might not even be anger. It could be passion. It could be, you know, caregiving. Because that Mars Uranus energy, that is a lot of energy. That's a lot. That's why with the Jack of Spades, it really is, because Mars is is a more of the internal, you know, your drive, your will, your power, if you will, your personal. It's not an outside. And then Uranus being an outside planet, it's going to crystallize anything you drive to do. Now that's where the 6 will come into play. Are you going to drive to do the responsible thing or the irresponsible thing? And that's why the Jack can sit on the fence. And that's why I can teeter from the Waffle House to the White House, if you will, right? So, and this is the ultimate Waffle House to the White House energy, right? Because it's an actor card, so that's where it's like. But I think it's interesting because that Uranus energy, it gives you a lot, and it being a spade too, there's a lot of like strength and power that can come from that. That's why it really is an energy where you can be whatever you want to be, whatever you choose to be. So how do you choose with the temper or the, you know,
and that's what being a spiritual initiate is, right? Because when you talk about being spiritual initiate, you're calling your divinity, your sovereignty, your wholeness, what you're bringing, yeah. And so, and I also believe that Waffle House to White House, that's the gift of an immature / childlike character, right? Because that means I can come into where it's crazy and messy, but I can keep my clarity and clean up and do what I got to do and get out of there. But I can meet you in the mud. Like I was the door person at a music event last night, and it was like, it all came back. I was like, oh, I can handle this very well, you know. But there was like a character shift in me in a way, because I was with the people, and especially as they got drunk, and then they really love you. Like they're already like, look at her, oh my God, she's so cute, oh hi, you know. And I'm like, you know. And then when they get a few drinks, then they're like, I'm gonna go talk to her. I'm going over there, and you see them coming out. You're like, oh boy, here we go. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you know, and everything's exaggerated, and they're breathing alcohol into your face, and they're trying to touch you. Like this one lady, when she's leaving, she goes, she's just looking at me, staring at me, and I was like, well, have a good night. Thank you so much for coming. She goes, can I come in and just give you a hug? And I'm just like, but that's the playfulness of being able to manage it, right? And stay in your spiritual constitution, but be in the mud or the childlike, like playful way and goof on them and know the lines to say, but not necessarily cross your boundaries, right? And not forget what the king or the royal family or the queen, like why we're here, like not use the power of that energy of being that royal at the Waffle House to get whatever you want or to manipulate others.
Yep. And having the ace in Pluto, it makes so much sense with having such strong Mars placements between the two spreads, because Mars is an inner planet, it's personal planet. So it's your personal drive. It's your personal, like, how bad do you want it? And it's like, my little one and I watched Happy Feet 2.
Oh, I love those Happy Feet. They're so cute.
Yeah, and the little penguin, the sun penguin said, if you want it, you will it, and if you will it, it will be, or something like that. And that's the ace of that. Like, if you want it, you have to will it, and if you will it, so shall it be. And then and that's the Jack. That's why it's an initiation, because it's really you initiating yourself to create the life that you desire. And that's why it even transforms into that 3 of Spades, because now that you really do see your power and how you can get creative to create the life that you desire. The abundance at the high side of those 3s is more, having more. So that's why it's a card of opportunity and initiation, because it wants you to expand. But again, it has to come in. It has to be your will to want it. Because if not, that Jack of Spades, I mean, the other side of that is escapism, not taking any responsibility at all, blaming everybody else.
Sandwich. No, I'm just kidding.
So that would definitely be that.
Yeah. I hear you. I agree. And there's also a way that the opportunity to mature from a different perspective, right? Because when you think of it like, you're not going to make me, like it's so willful, and the thing that you said is like, you speak it. I say that a lot, to people, and it's almost like they're like, okay, yeah, but what else? And I'm like, no, like it's not what else. Like, get that part.
Yeah.
Like, start to speak your life the way you want it, and let's go from there. Because as long as you're in this loop of this toxic soup, there's nothing different going to happen from week to week, because you keep singing the same song. I think it's so simple. I think that's the whole thing that's going to be part of what happens next, is we're going to find out how much simpler things are and how complicated we've made it with our reasons and justifications. It's like, speak what you want. Speak your wellness. Speak your high vibrational love. Speak your wealth. But to keep complaining and looping and pointing fingers, well, okay, well then look what we did by doing that.
And its reward card is the Queen of Diamonds, so you can see it elevates. It is the connection to that royal, the royal energy. So but again, it has to take that. It's interesting too, because it's a one-eyed Jack. So it has the being blindsided, and again, turning a blind eye to things, probably its own accountability. If I'm going to be honest, and that's key. When you open up the eyes, you really do see, and with that Queen of Diamonds being the result card, the initiation is really your self will, because them aces are like, get out of my way, like they want to achieve. They have a lot of desire, a lot of ambition, but the Jack of Spades ace is in Pluto. So it's your own. Anytime there's an ace in Pluto, it's you really, a lot of times you probably see it on Pluto in the first house or something. Pluto is really identified. You're transforming yourself constantly. So it's probably in, maybe conjunct the sun in some sort, but there's probably different transits that could show up that way, or aspects. But yeah, that's when you really break it down, and its reward card being the Queen of Diamonds, there is that that initiation that happens into the royal court, if you will.
I'm a little confused about, I agree with you, Gina. I completely agree that the initiation is, who am I in the set, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even the eyes thing, it's like, if you're standing with the king and the queen both looking forward and you got one eye there and you're still connected to the family plan or the intention of why we're here, you're okay. It's when you turn the eye into a me monster that we get crazy.
Yep.
Jack of Spades that I know are not meme monsters. I mean, they may be kind of like in their own bubble a little bit, but they usually are doing some cool things. The ones I know,
They're very creative. It's
they're
just
really doing some.
extremely very creative
They've
energy.
impressed me several times. The 4 or 5 I know, they really have. And so, but what was I gonna say though about the other thing? I don't remember. So yeah, I don't remember. My brain is like totally melted. Dancing and singing and laughing. Which is
Yeah.
the whole set of new characters. It was so funny. Oh, I know what I was thinking. So if today is the last day of the Jack of Spades, so then we're kind of reflecting on our weeks in our show now. So we're reflecting on the week. Do we want to use the show to somewhat give a little sense of what next week is, because we're going into the Queen? Like, I'm just noticing when I saw the dates up top, I was like, oh, let's think about this.
That's fine. We always talk about all different types of stuff.
I know. But I'm saying, do you guys think that just staying in the week that happened, or we should give a little bit about what's coming?
Yeah, we can always do that.
Setting up that bridge, because I kind of like the foreshadowing, because I like to see, like, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, is it real? Because it's even like when I do readings, I don't like someone telling me, like, asking me questions before the reading. Like, don't come to me asking me what you want to hear or what you want to talk about. It's like, let me look at your cards, look at the year, maybe a question on if you want me to look at the year, weekly, you know, or your life, you know. Out of those 3 things, I can find within the cards. So, but yeah, looking at coming up towards next week is fine. And you was talking. What caught my ear was,
like what you said, we could talk about what we might see in the Queen of Spades, and then next week talk about our Queen of Spades week and what we saw. Do you know what I mean? And like with the Jack of Spades, I mean, I definitely felt very initiated. A whole bunch of things moved forward this week. Do you know what I mean? But with a real question of, can I stay, you know, connected to the fam or the ideas and not let my will take me into what I want to do? Like, can I stay conscious of my ripples? Do you know what I mean? Like, can I become more accountable? I definitely felt that in a couple places too. So I'll say for me, the Jack of Spades energy did bring some initiation and forward movement and some humbleness as well.
And you was the initiator, you know. So you were like kind of like the queen or king in that standpoint. Like, you was opening up the door. Like, I was like, you was the was you at the door or at the entrance of the concert? So that's what.
I was the door lady. I was the door lady at the door collecting the $10 from everybody that came in for the band. And this place, the guy who owned it had this like crazy hat and jacket on and jeans, was doing the garbage. He was like in his 60s, you know. At the end of the night, I saw him hanging out the drive-through window smoking a bowl. It was just so funny. I had such laughter. And just, I was with these 2 little twin girls that are like 23, 6 of clubs. And they were selling the merch next to me, and my son was killing it with the saxophone up there, and his band is just so fun and so silly, and they go up there and make believe they're like little rock stars and play it out. And like, I'm so proud of people when they can like have fun, allow them, and entertain as well. I mean, golly, that's the trifecta. There you go. So that's awesome. It was way, way, way fun. But yes, I was the initiate. I was at the door. And then it sold out because it was so full, and the guy wouldn't let anybody in because there's not a liquor license. You can't stand with a drink. You got to sit with a drink. He's taking out tables. I mean, he's taking out chairs from the back, plastic chairs. The whole thing, I just was so entertained. So I had to tell people, I'm sorry, you can't. And they're just looking at me like, yeah, I know. And you still can't. So there was like 12 people standing outside watching. And then I got really tricked because the band's girlfriends came and they had friends with them. And they were like, come to the door. And I got people standing outside saying
Who
they
can't get in.
Yeah. And now they're like, and I'm like, oh man, you got me in a spot. I'm like, I tell you what, you can't come in. And as things go on, one of you at a time kind of casually walk in and we'll get you over there. But like, we're going to have to like not just let you in right now, So I eventually worked it out, and I got everybody in there. But it was definitely a pull between, do you just do whatever you want and let everybody do what they want? Or do you hold it and say, this is where we're holding it and this is why we're holding it, and this guy's license or potential license is on the line? And, whereas I grew with my Jack of Clubs dad, I'd be like, fuck them, let them in, don't worry about it. Don't do that. Don't listen to that one. Do this. Make sure you get the $10. Make sure you get the $10. So.
Yeah. It sounds exactly like the Jack of Spades, having to be responsible, being out in the Ten of Hearts is, I mean, that's like a party, that's a very good time. And Jack of Clubs karma card is the Ten of Hearts. Ten of Hearts karma card is the Jack of Clubs, and so of course the Jack of Clubs will be in there telling you how to control the party. Just let it
Like, don't worry about it, honey. Don't worry about it. And then of course my son came over and he's just like, you're just letting them all in anyway, right, Mom? And I said, no, John, get the hell out of here and go play the saxophone. I'll take care of this.
One Spades is the four spades, it is the four spades to me is where's the King of Hearts? The King of Hearts, Pluto, is the four spades? Or is that?
Well, the King of Hearts is before me.
Yeah, when I get the four spades, I'm like, I have a friend with four spades, right? The home, the family, and I see him like really being a great dad, a great father, taking responsibility, building the homes. He's into real estate as well, So it's like the organization skills behind that four spades and taking on the responsibility and being there for the family. It holds a huge responsibility, and a lot of times when they do become responsible, they don't want to leave no one behind, right? They want to bring everyone with them and making sure everyone's do the fun that they have, So the Jack of Spades has that four spades in Mars, right? So there's a huge
Mars, yeah.
Making sure everyone's responsible and taken care of, right? And they may become like that older sibling or someone for everyone. They're making sure everything is okay, right?
Yeah.
Make sure everything exactly how it's supposed to be going. So, like you had a Jack of Spades week to the T.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And Gina, congratulations to your daughter. She definitely got initiated this week.
That was amazing. 1,000. That's amazing.
Yeah. So she go ahead.
1,000. How many points?
Now she's more because she got 20 in the following game. On Thursday she scored 20 points, and she only played three quarters. She didn't even play the full 4. So she on Tuesday reached her 1,000th point in her high school career playing basketball. And what's crazy is she's not like a point, like her position is pretty big because she's a big forward. So you don't see, that many points. I don't know. But anyways, especially only been playing basketball for 3 years too. So pretty impressive. And then she actually graduated high school Friday as well.
Wow.
Yeah, she finished her classes early. She only needed like 3 credits to graduate. So she's done. She doesn't have to go back to the school for classes. Yeah, so she'll finish out with the team and everything, and then off to college. Yeah. So it's been awesome to watch and to see her you know, and then literally in less than a month, she's going to be 18. So it's all like boom, 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 boom. Yeah. that I've been sitting with.
Rolling through.
I swear I've been sitting with that whole turning 18, like, oh my God. And when you sit, like, it really
it's
does.
It's a 9. 18 is a 9. You love your 9s.
I do. But just to see, like, oh my God, 18 years, like, and how my life was and is. And that sitting with that, you know, has been pretty big for me, because I realized like the growth of us and just having her and transformation that both of my kids given me, you know, so it's been pretty big, and to sit with that, like in the Jack of Spades week too, you know, is pretty incredible, because it's my reward card. So I can see, you know, the rewards that are coming from the work. Because even with that being that Jack of Spades, like that Ace of Diamonds, it's funny because, you know, both my kids are aces. And I made a promise to her when she was born that I would, you know, she wasn't going to be a statistic. Like I've worked my butt off to, you know, make sure of that, like, and make sure that she, no matter what the circumstances were, I wasn't going to let that, you know, stop what I saw in her, like what I innately knew. Like the kid crawled at 3 months old. She was cruising at 6 months old. Like I remember I took her to a 6-month appointment, and all I did was put the baby down on the floor, and the baby crawled over, pulled herself up, and cruised around the thing. And the doctor was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? What am I doing?" And she's like, "Why she shouldn't be doing that?" I'm like, "Well, she is." What do you want me to do? What are you making her do it? I said, I'm not making her do, like, me and the doctor got into it, because that's one thing you're not going to do.
Can you imagine Gina 18 years ago with the doctor? You know, this is the Gina we know. There was a different Gina from what I understand.
Very different Gina, because me and that doctor, and that was the last time we saw that doctor, because who the hell are you to tell me that I've done something like this? What? Look, I put her down. How could I have done that? Like, are you serious? I mean, that didn't end well for the doctor. So she walked.
I could see yourself in her too. I appreciate the video and seeing her. She has a playfulness and a strength to her.
Oh yeah, and like she walked at 9 months old, was talking in full sentences by the time. I mean, so I couldn't stop that. I had to support that, you know, and then learning the cards too. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense now. It all makes so much sense. So yeah, it's been pretty incredible. And then the other one, the Ace of Clubs, who is sitting here staring at me right now because I'm using her iPad. Well, not her iPad, my iPad. But yeah, you know, she you know, she is growing into her own as well, for sure. It's every day. I'm the Ace of Clubs. Yes, I'm the Ace of Clubs.
Well, she's also the Two of Hearts. Or, you know, I think that's a trickier version of the aces, to be able to two and ace.
To swap, yeah. And I, you know, it made sense to me with her. Like there's certain days where, you know, she doesn't, like when I would take her to the playground and she's like, I don't want to go play with them. Like, what's wrong with you? What kid comes to a playground and goes off on, you know, and chases some lizard or something by herself? So it is, you know, you learn on the day, like some days she doesn't want to interact and the other day she does. She very much will want to. So that made sense when I understood her card.
So my brain is still in the Jack, Queen, and King because I had dreams about it. So we're going into the Queen, right? And we have this initiation energy, this like, you know, how are you going to stand there and be accountable and do what you do? And now when I think of a queen, I know we always say the Queen of Spades is like self-mastery, but the whole queen in general, there's a whole lot of like both eyes forward, you know, just the feminine, the divine feminine. The fact that it stands between the Jack and the King, to me, is there's seemingly something to do with balancing our own male and female energy, right? Because I think there's really is a way that, and I don't know that we truly are male and female, or if it's just a response to the fact that we felt so split for so long. I do feel like I have both energies, at least the archetypes of the energies. Like, this is how dudes are, this is how girls are. I'm kind of like both, you know, so I can say that. But it really is occurring to me, what does the heart believe in the three to keep harmony? Like, what does the hearts move for? Like, what's their motivation? Because, like, if the jack's moving to, you know, make money or get over on somebody, then the jack can't be trusted, right? If the queen is moving from my way or the highway, or, you know, I'll shun you, or I'll make you, you know, that kind of stuff, or the king with the dominance or withholding in some way, like, all of those things are going to work against us as far as frequency goes, right? Because they're all part of the learning classroom, but none of them are in fact the kind of thing that's going to help us develop a next version per se. Those are some of the older storylines that live in our potential. So if the jack is standing, spiritually initiated to be part of the royal family and working with the people in a conscious, accountable way, and the queen is coming into play to be that balance for the king and the jack, because, you know, we can also see how the king and the jack, they're the competition, they're the angst, there's the fight. I mean, how many women are the bridge of communication between their husbands and sons? Like, how many fathers and sons really talk about what's going on? You know what I mean? I think it does happen. I think it happens plenty, but I also know that there's a stoicism and an avoidance that makes it so that the queen is the communicator. So I'm sensing that there's communication this week. There's like the balancing of the energies this week as part of the mastery. But that's just because I was dreaming about the king, queen, and jack.
Well, the Queen of Spades, their Mercury card is the Jack of Clubs. So it's initiating the communications.
That makes
But
sense.
it can, just like all the other queens, it can either hurt you with its words or help you with its words.
Yeah.
That's the part of it, you know, because there's that jack energy again, you know, so it can teeter, you know. The Queen of Spades could even be, you know, playful and the mothery, because jacks are like kids, you know. So it's a kind that could also see it as being nagging as well, you know what I mean? Because it's you know, with that jack of clubs. But ideally the higher side of that is to initiate a higher way of communicating, a more, you know, coming from more responsibility, you know, more intelligence, more, you know, thinking outside the box. Don't limit your thinking at all. Don't limit your mental capacity at all. You know, because every time when you constantly, you know, initiating it, because it's the challenging karma card, you know, wow, it makes so much sense, but I can have a lot of success. 10 of diamonds and the 8 of diamonds, challenging and supporting karma cards. So
you're talking about the Queen of Spades, yeah?
Yeah. So that Mercury card being the Jack of Clubs is a big part of the where it kind of is going to, you know, the direction it will go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to know that the queen has that intention to speak from truth and be creative about it. You know what I mean? Because that's a great way to initiate possibilities. You know, from what you're telling me from the cards, it sounds like that queen is really able to, bring it in. I look forward to what my little granddaughter does with it. I can't hear you, Shad.
Nope, still can't hear you. Oh,
he'll come back.
Yeah.
He'll come back, Gina.
Nope.
So we're going to need to communicate from this divine feminine or this feminine rising. Mercury got him. Maybe so, J-Lo. we're going to definitely need to communicate to keep things more and more like clear for, to me, that 10 of diamonds, 8 of diamonds, the things you call out, like everything's shiny or diamonds. It's like polishing. It's like radiating your light in a more liberated way. Like letting go of the archetypes, the butt hurts, the blaming, the shaming, and just like, I'm going to rock what I got.
Yeah. And that's what the Queen of Spades is spiritual self-mastery. So you're mastering yourself, essentially. So this week, that it kind of, when you see how it flows, you're coming from the Jack of Spades where you're being initiated. And again, since that Ace of Diamonds is in Pluto, it's about taking that responsibility. Then when we move to the Queen of Spades week, you see how nothing happens without your permission, how you really are, you do hold the wheel, if you will. It is really about you being accountable, taking the experiences and the wisdom that you learned and utilizing it, because that's another thing too. The queens are to serve their community, they're the helpers, so they take all this stuff and then they spread it, and share it with others. That's why they're nurses or like that, working with kids, or and they can have a lot of success because they do a lot of inner work. They transform into a 6 of Spades. There's again, accountability, responsibility.
That's so great. That's what her grandmother is. That's so
wow. Yeah, that nothing comes, nothing happens without you seeing that you're responsible for it.
Nice. I on a sweet queen note, the twins, the 2 Queen of Hearts monkeys, they're coming in on Tuesday, and we just kind of booked it because they were finished school, and that's when they could come. And it's a Queen of Hearts day that they're flying here. Then it's a Queen's week, so yeah, and it is so much growing that's happened for all of us. And then it's like, how will it play out? But it like, again, the cards and the way it lines up, you're like, golly boy, there's spirit. It really does.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And they're Queen of Hearts. I don't know. Did you say that?
What?
The boys, your twins are Queen of Hearts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and they're coming on the Queen of Hearts day on Tuesday, on the Queen of Spades week to the Christmas in Utah.
So yeah, I thought that was kind of like fascinating, coming on the Queen of Hearts day, the Queen of Hearts, and that's how the cards, lay. Like I was talking about the Kanye West daughter, the Jack of Spades, making her debut in the Jack of Spades week. So it's like, it's so funny how the cards lay. And that's the only thing I would say. Yeah, that's the only thing that keeps me coming back is like, like,
how did what's going on?
How is this possible? Like, how is this possible? And someone said if you can't make it simple, then it's not true at all. And the cards are so simple yet so revealing. So
yeah, the Ace of Spades has been my cosmic moon this week too.
Is your daughter softening the space between you and she?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, we had a moment at that celebration too, so that was pretty big. Yeah, she did.
She did. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, which is, I cry all the time. Shit, that's easy. What? That's like that. So it was, and the crazy thing is what was so nuts about that game is she missed every shot, and we had like, they plan on doing the celebration during halftime. It's like a minute and a half until halftime, and she hasn't made not one shot. And so she's on the bench and she's like shaking, like you could tell she's like, and I was like, I looked at her, I was like, just breathe, like stop, like get out of here, get on the head, like you're gonna be fine. But you had a minute and a half, like it'll be so bad if you don't make a shot here. We got all this stuff going on. And then she got in, and it was like one of the first plays. I showed you the video, and she made it, and that was like, oh, thank God. That was
was it a 3-pointer that she made?
Yeah. And it was a nice one too.
Yeah, no, it was.
It was a really nice one at that. So
yeah, totally. Nice.
So going into the I was going down. I'm sorry. I don't know what I missed. What were y'all speaking of right before I left?
the Queen of Spades, just like how she was, going from one energy to the next, and then with that, having that the Queen of Spades having the Jack of Clubs and Mercury, there is an issue. It can sit on that fence too. But it's
like talk to the Jack, help the Jack understand, go to the King, but like, and I just keep seeing like, okay, I get that they have to work together because there's these little buffs, but like, what do they all believe? Like, what is it all about? That's what I've been praying about. I'm like, why are they standing there? Like, what do they believe in? Because as soon as your will comes into play for any of us in any way, it's hard to play for the team anymore because our will can sometimes be skewed to instant gratification. And more.
Especially when it comes to will, all right, willpower and just the Jack. Not to go back, I'm gonna tie it all in, but Jack in the Eight of Spades, so that willpower, that belief system, is so important for them. And Aquarius often kind of in our classes here lately, I don't know if she said it before, but she talks about the Eight of Spades, like, your belief systems. Also, the King of Clubs as well is like the embodiment of your belief system, where you build it out of thoughts and the pattern. Of course, that's the Seven of Clubs with Pluto, and who else is the karma card for the Jack of Spades is the Seven of Clubs. So also, so it's like this fighting of what's wrong, what's right, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Building this belief system around. Then going into just what you were talking about, the Queen Space Jack of Clubs is another club, right? In Mercury. So you have the Jack of Spades club in Mercury, Queen of Spades, a club in Mercury. So you talk like building belief systems and knowledge, and very much so. Both those cards, their childhood is very important, because the light spread is more of the pattern of um, your 0 to 13 going into 9, right? Of you growing in life cycle. So your childhood is very much important of that Queen of Spades of what do you believe in, that's going to determine your mental attitudes. A lot of times, Jack, so your mental attitudes, your your judgment, whatnot, or whatever.
Yeah, you're kind of being imprinted by what you grew up with as far as like the way you do things.
Right. So it's very much so important that the Queen of Spades does have like this is the, I guess you can say, honest belief system, or where it's not over judgmental and it's very uh, for others around it as well, because it's the mother. It can hurt or scorn people with their words, especially with the Jack, right? Because Jack of Clubs, but they the most tyrannical Jack, but they can be some of the it can be a tough card, with dealing.
My mom was tough.
No
offense, J-Lo. I don't know if J-Lo's the Jack of Clubs or which one she is, but I think she is. My mom was direct.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily thinking about your feelings in any way.
Yeah. And they have to be, and it's you were talking about neutral gender. I was saying that they're also neutral as well. They can kind of go back and forth between male, female. The Jack aren't as masculine and feminine as the other cards that you may see, that kind of like the kings, queens, and so that neutrality kind of comes into effect. Like I was saying, not being biased or judgmental as well. But the education part behind clubs and teaching, is a very important part around the phase. Little Queen phase moment I think you had between the Jack and the Queen is affecting the mental attitudes of your friends, uh, throwing the fit, and then you have, and show emotional control, and showing that you have to be responsible of your emotions, and I don't know, as far as like implementing tools or knowledge or giving some type of maybe even song, you know, like what's the song you're thinking here? Your emotions and to go on this side or the other side, you know, with the way you talk, the way you speak, the way you express yourself, all comes from your mental attitude. Um, I'm also just had a 3 of clubs daddy with a gold who helped me. Mhm. I was just talking about the 3 of clubs here, and we often talk about the 3 of clubs as a war card. You know, they sit Mars, Saturn, you know, so very structured and disciplined, but very direct. They can kind of teach either side as well. So be responsible with your words. Threes, Gemini, third house, all of those things, right? The way that you communicate with. So controlling your emotions and looking at the way you connect, you know, is very important within the Queen of Spades month. And I have to say,
Queen of Spades week, you mean, or is this the Queen of Spades month too?
to the Queen of Spades week, depending on what system, since when you look at this stuff so much, you kind of have to. That's the beauty, I guess, of researching is finding the truth, you know, or the fact, which is a Jack of Spades, right? Finding the truth within the systems. So teetering between the King of Spades starting in January or the King of Spades starting in
What month is this?
December.
Duh. I mean the card month.
So some would say the King of Spades starts in December, and some would say January. Had a little moment.
We tickled Gina good. We tickled her good. The obvious are the best jokes. So no, I was just because I know we're in a Queen of Spades week, but I was just curious what month.
Sorry.
Gina, what month is it? Tell me the card of the month. I don't know. I know that the King of Diamonds is in September. So then does it go Queen Jack after that, or did it cut from Jack to Queen to that? I think it's Jack of Diamonds. So what is the month?
Yeah, you know, the King, Queen, Jack, King, Queen, Jack.
Is it Jack of Clubs? What is it, Jack of Hearts? What is it? What is the Jack of Hearts? Is that what Christmas is? That's what.
No, it's the King of Spades month, right? And then because January is the Queen of Spades month.
Yeah, but I was saying that some books they have said that the King of Spades is in January.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay, I get it. And it is December.
Yeah.
This is the way he said it. Like, it's December, duh.
Remember, like, boy, sometimes, you know, maybe she's smart. Like, I'm like, he's a good teacher, right? Like, Rashad doesn't even talk to you like you're stupid, even when you ask stupid questions. It's like, okay, I'll give you a stupid answer to your stupid question.
I've asked a lot of stupid questions myself. My little curiosity gets going. So I am not to judge anyone. And that's how the Queen of Spades should be tied back, right?
Yeah, that's a great thing to bring in. Yeah. The non-judgment, the not sitting better than, not being like, you know, that girl that what are those girls like? Not I said, but you know, the bratty girl, the girl who's like the boss of everybody, like not using your power that way, like becoming someone who's like conscious of her kindness.
Mm-hmm.
Say it nicely. Say whatever you got to say, but say it nicely.
Yeah, because you know that Queen of Spades with the Jack of Clubs and Mercury can go either way. You know,
As
what
we know.
what it will say. So that was funny though. I've also seen different like there's someone that the weekly cards are different too. So and I know there's the cards of truth system. So there's different. It's kind of like the Vedic and tropical, you know. So what system do you? I can see how you can merge all of it. Actually, I don't.
Yeah, and again, like I always say, it's the same lessons. You're just getting them in different ways at different times. Like whatever your cards and things that they're not meant to be crutches. It's not like, oh, well, I'm this, so that's why I'm always going to be this way. It's like, well, no, that's what you're going to evolve with that energy into whatever your north node is and how your transformation takes place. So any of these things aren't necessarily like, oh, that's just how I am, but it's definitely clues to like, that's what I'm here to learn.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's how people should look at astrology as well, and the cards. I get a lot of questions on what should I do, how should I do it, which I totally understand. To understand and know the energy that you're in, so it helps your development and knowing the karmas that come. Because that's what we always talk about. And I hate fear mongering, as far as like this is going to happen. You want to watch out for this and that. It's more so take responsibility of yourself, and making sure that you're aware, but ultimately the responsibility lies within you. And also there's this thing of, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, your destiny or the choices that you make while you're here? I think that's one of the biggest, debates and confusions within astrology and within the metaphysical community. Like, are we really choosing our own paths, or are we really just experiencing our destiny that was pre-written? You know, so that's kind of one of those things that I kind of look at, and I always have to debate, because when people ask questions like that, like, you're gonna choose whatever you're destined to do, regardless. And a lot of times the cards can confirm that, of course. And I look at it as confirmation myself, right? But I always have to look at, like, is this manifest destiny? And I hate the definition of manifest destiny, because it says, oh, this land was rightfully owned, and I came because it was in my destiny. But there's also, so I look at it as far as, you're manifesting your destiny, and you have and the rights to your life. This was going to happen regardless. I was going to come to California, before it was written. And it was written for me to come here before I was born. And within my experience was also within. So I also believe there's ways and thought patterns, and of course the clubs and Mercury, right? Your mental attitude along the journey.
Yeah, that's
And
what
how
I
you take.
think is the choice. I think how you respond is the choices you have. I think that, well, I've experienced that things kind of unfolded and happened, right? And some of them happened again and again. And the only way that I saw real change or transformation a lot of times was when I responded differently. So I
Mhm.
believe that it has a lot to do with from where we respond, from what idea of ourselves we respond, because if there was a plan for you to go to California and your whole life, for whatever reason, you watched some movie one time and you were like, I'm going to live in Texas no matter what. I'm going to wear a cowboy hat. I'm going to live in Texas. And like the universe is like, here's a great opportunity. And you're just like, but it's not Texas. I want to be in Texas. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we can do. Like, we can decide that Texas is it, even when other stuff is coming. So I do believe there's paths that are made for us to grow and have experiences, but we can use our will to determine how much we are present in them.
I agree. I think you're, because like you have these placements, you have these aspects the day you were born, you know what I mean? So you, again, and you're gonna, when you start to see that these plates and these traits, all just, cycles, and you, again, you will, you'll choose, if you're just aware of the choices that you're even making, is I think how you can then, make the better choices that really do bring you to the destiny that you maybe have came for, the experiences that you needed, that you really signed up for, that your soul needed to grow. You know what I mean? And yes, a lot of us have experienced certain things that you're like, dang, why would I choose that? But for whatever reason, you needed it to probably get you to where you are right now. And then you can take those experiences, forgive yourself, because in the time you probably didn't even know, what you were maybe really doing essentially. And now, and I really do believe that a lot of these things that play out are to bring us to some form of awareness and understanding of really who we are, that because we were just talking about this, I think, in one of the other classes that I was in. It's taking any of your pain and any of your trauma and any of your experiences. And that's why Pluto is such a big part of the, your evolution, because you can take all those things, alchemize them, and turn them into power. You can use the experiences, the wounds, and like that's why your Pluto card is the 9th card from your birth card.
Oh, good to remember. That'll help me. Thank you.
And that's why, yes, Pluto can be the tunnel of darkness, but you can choose to stay there. You can choose to allow the things that have happened to you to hold you hostage, or you can transform them and alchemize that pain into a form of power. And usually most people who have experienced trauma and pain take it and go on and help other people, actually.
Yeah,
it's a catalyst to therapy or doing things that put you in a position to take what you've had happen to you to turn it into something where other people, you find people who are abuse victims go and help women who've been abused. You know what I mean? So because they've experienced it, they can help people, ideally, maybe, choose a different path because you've lived it. So I think that's a part of it. And so I can now, for me at least, I can have peace with the things that I've been through, and not be grateful for them, really.
Yeah, we had the Sisterhood satsang on Friday, and it was really awesome because there was such a mix of cultures and generations, and I really loved that. And what we talked about and what our focus was is how you tell the story, right? And the archetypes that we get groomed in, and how they grow certain kind of like, well, I had to, that's how this is, that kind of stuff. But to speak your story like from a sacred wound, like this stuff around being a mother, I'm a birth mother. I had a child, and after high school and stuff. So much has been in this sacred wound of mother adequacy, like feeling adequate, like feeling part of something. Like it has been such a huge classroom. So I can tell the story in a way that it is a hero's journey, like that it was the catalyst that was supposed to help me develop and mature to understand and have compassion for how much we need each other. I didn't think I needed anybody when I was 17 and that happened. I was like, yeah, it's okay if you all just jump off the planet. I just got to get away from you. You know what I mean? But boy, when I found out how much I needed everybody, I had to change how I interacted with everybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I feel like the woundings come with us, and we have these beautiful paths. And if we can tell the story in inspiring ways, then we can also liberate ourselves to be more present in these moments.
Yep. That's definitely I think the awareness and the taking the things, and that's why I love like connecting the astrology with the cards, because you can see, the like a Mercury square Chiron and where the communal words were so very powerful.
Yeah. That's really cool the way you're doing that. That's very
to be able to take it and then be like, okay, that makes sense. I can see it with my cards, and then I'm like, okay, but I realized I didn't like the words that were used growing up, so I really was adamant about with my own that I wouldn't use certain words and stuff like that. So I was aware before I was even aware, because I know I didn't like the way it felt. So I think being able to take it and now what I do with the cards is I help people, kind of almost recognize the language that they may have in their head. And if it's not healthy and it doesn't, coincide to what you want, you have to reprogram your mind. And that's what the card, you can see that where spreads can really show you the opportunity to do that. That's what I like to use the cards for, is to show people the opportunity where, you may experience some challenges. We all will, but how do you respond to them? How do you, and if you want, usually when people come for readings, they want a different, they're looking to do something different or something better. I don't attract too many people who are like, tell me, is this going to happen? It's more on like, how can I get better? What's playing out for me that I can use this energy? Because I do my readings like that. I really try to get you to see the purpose of certain things that may be playing out so that it can elevate you to a whole nother level. So I like looking at it from that perspective. And even with the weekly readings or any reading, is my goal is to not, you know, sugarcoat challenges. I'm very raw. Like, no, this just can be a little intense here, but let's look at why is it, like, what's the purpose of it? Like, what's it trying to get you to do? You know, and most of the time it's letting go and realizing your response to certain things is how you then keep attracting the same thing back to you, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, the tools that we can really intertwine here, just so we have a better understanding of ourselves, is I think the best gift.
And again, it comes back to that it's so simple, right? Because when you have this big story and reason, and this is why I'm like this, and I do this because of this, and this is from this, and I should be this, it can't be simple anymore because there's all this stuff in there. And it's just like, can you be present? And what do you need right now? And what do you want to experience? And, you know, like, so I think this slowing down to feel the simplicity of the choices and not feel fueled by the drama or the adrenaline of the chaos.
Yep.
But that's going to seem boring, but then eventually won't be boring because it'd be like, there'll be new ways to explore the depths of what it is we are when we're not using our energy to repeat cycles and tell the same story and try to suck off people to get shit.
I think,
but you know, not everybody's that, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Right. I think I look at it as the peace that you get. And if peace is boring, I'll take it because I can appreciate it. You know what I mean? That's a lot of, you know, my goal is to try to really obtain more peace within. Because I think when you have peace within, you respond differently. You're not, there's the need of that thriving or surviving. And I think a lot of people are, you know, realizing the benefit of coming out of survival mode is really being in a low side of a 7. You're operating out of a fear, you know, inclination. So I think, you know, moving away from surviving to thriving, and thriving really is just being in the present. And I think being aware, you know, because you create the thrive, or you're going to create the survive, because it kind of goes with that 7 energy, you know. So.
I agree. Well, Gina, you're like really 2'd up, huh? You got like 2s coming everywhere right now. I was just looking at these Destiny thing, and it said that you're in a yearly 2, your 52 days a 2, and your daily card is a 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Partnerships have been, I realized with that Pluto in the 7th house in tropical, or in the 8th and whole sign, I mean Placidus and whole, I realized relationships are my where things things show up, fear is rooted in there, and I've been working a lot on letting go of the fear when relationships present themselves, and it's not even, it's all types of them, but when they become more, you know, deeper, you really do start to see, like, oh my God, like all of a sudden and I'm like, okay, and I love the fact that I'm like, why am I doing, like, I have to know, like, where's this coming from, you know? So it's been the 2s have I've had a lot of 2 this week, and I realized there's that sense of codependency, fear that easily gets brought up when it comes to the relationships. But I see that the moon was the ace, so I had to really like see, where is this coming? You know, it was me. It's always me creating certain things, or certain things will trigger me to operate from fear. And luckily, because I'm aware more, and it doesn't mean I don't struggle with it, because I struggled this week, but I was able to, you know, move away from the fear. So it's
a whole, like, when the energy of fear or the trigger of what could happen or how it could be like that, I mean, that paranoia, whatever it is, when it takes in, like, to me, the system is being invited, like, are you ready to receive the best thing that can happen to you? Or are you going to, like, repeat what happened?
Yep.
Are you going to be able to meet this like it just happened for the first time or not?
Yeah. And that's what I realized, that, you know, anytime there is an opportunity to relate to another, it shows me where I have some of that. Because I have the 2 of diamonds is my Pluto card for life. So I have that too. It's always going, and Mars is a 2 as well. So you see, relationships are very, very important for me to. I learned the most about myself.
Yeah. Yeah, my head would be up my ass if it weren't for my relationships. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. No,
that was
go ahead.
no. There's an old video. I think I don't know what we was talking about, but someone was saying Mars is in detriment in the 7th house because it's opposition, and that's another one of those things. Is like whenever you're looking at celebrities or people that have made it, sometimes they have detriments, and they take those detriments and use it for their power or to even get into the position, as you can see. So like using the partnerships and people around you, your relationships, and working with men or whatever it may be, could actually uplift you or help you, in a lot of different ways. And again, like your mental attitudes, the way that you approach things is the more important, like your ability to develop in those areas. So yeah, the development may be a detriment, a little harder, but is it really a detriment, right? I always love the way that Deborah speaks about, she says that what is it, like negative or bad is in the language of the Chinese, it's an opportunity, you know so there's an opportunity for much growth in those areas within your life.
That's why I think squares in your natal chart are your biggest growth, because they present a challenge. And there's nothing better in my opinion. I'll just speak for myself. I don't know how other people feel, but I get more satisfaction. Tell me I can't do something or put a challenge to it, and I'm gonna, like, I love. I will attack something. So, I appreciate. I realize that those squares that I have weren't to like box me in. You use that energy to break away from the box. You use the challenge that it has squared you to square yourself. I know there's probably better words, but I can't think of them right now. You break you those squares that present. I feel like when you overcome them, that's really when you take back your power. You realize that there's nothing that can get in my way when I want something, when I, and sometimes when it's like winning a race. It's like winning, you presented with all kinds of obstacles or hurdles, but you powered through and you came out on the other side, and it gives you this sense of accomplishment. Like nothing can, foot on the neck, like nothing's going to hold me back. I can come out of this, so I look at those squares as opportunities to, power through and not get trapped in the confinement of the square, and use it to kind of push your way through out and come out on the other side even better than you went in.
Yeah, because if you don't, you're going to become a drudge, or like the Spades, product of your environment, the work, or the work that it takes to overcome those detriments. You're just going to become victim, play victim to your circumstances.
Right.
And I have to say, and that's the Queen of Spades. This is all Queen of Spades type of conversation, because it's your personal and personal development, your development of yourself and your mental health attitude that you take within the world. Either you're going to become a servant, or you can become a teacher and a leader, based upon the things that you went through. Like someone's mentioned Chiron, and the wounds we overcome help us to transcend.
That's why it's the wounded healer. Like we always talk about the wound, but we got to talk about the healing aspect. Yeah. Wounds heal. They close up and you regrow the skin, whatever it may be. So
sometimes it gets stronger afterwards.
Yeah. So especially if it's an injury, right? That if you say you are an athlete, you get injured, and there's a wound, and that injury, you're like, okay, I want to be better. I'm not going to let this stop me. So they train harder. They do more physical therapy, whatever they may do to help heal that wound faster, because their goal is to get back out on that court or get back out on that field to play even better. You know, yes, you had to sit out a few here, you had to rehabilitate, but you come back stronger, like you said, you know, so that the wounds, you know, that's why with the cards, reading your Pluto and the reward, there's a reward to your Pluto. Because Pluto is actually, because there's a rebirth attached to it, you're ideally coming back better than you went into the depths of hell or whatever it was.
Well, I mean, we can't deny that in the numbing and the go survival game, TV, social media, programming, you know, television, like all of those things seem to be factors. And what I do sense is that it is a lot of suggestive, persuasive stuff in our field. So again, I'm going to come back to what you say, what you focus on grows. You know what I mean? Like there's this movie that came out in Netflix that it's something like Leave the World Behind.
Yeah, I just watched it the other night.
Yeah? What'd you think?
What I got from that is I need some sound canceling headphones. Let me stop.
What was that? What was it about? I guess taking the information up through.
No,
like sound canceling headphones.
Because they were using Sound Weapon to yeah. So, you know, it looks like it's a movie about, you know, the internet crashing, a cyber attack, war impending from other countries, blah blah blah, and they were using sound weapons, and like there was planes, like you could tell that the grid was going down.
And then like really what it's about is we can now speak something different. Do you know what I mean? Because if we start to think about that all the time, we grow that.
Right.
Like that's the mirror neurons. I mean, let's just go basic here. Like we're projectors, like we're putting it out into the world and the world's saying, okay, you want to see that? Let's make more of that. Like, and that's where it's so simple and so powerful and so hard to believe. But it does make sense that the more people come to decide that they're going to perceive it a different way, it's just going to bring different energy to the possibility. Because if you're telling yourself, oh my gosh, I'm going to die, I have to do this, I have to do this, you'll be lost. I hear 3 different frequencies at certain times. Oh my goodness, J-Lo. But I hope you keep them all in your heart and speak kindly to yourself in all places and time.
Well, yeah, they use. So I was like, after I literally, the first thing I thought when that movie ended, I was like, I should probably get some headphones. That's the only thing I could, like. It was a good, you know, the way they ended it too. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, you know, it's funny. I was just talking to somebody about this earlier this week about, you know, getting into this space and the isolation that happens. But I don't watch TV. I don't have cable TV, so I don't have commercials. I don't have anything that's music all day. Even when the kids are home, we don't watch TV. Just recently, we've started to watch a little bit of like old stuff, and it actually has commercials because it's not ad free. And we're both like, oh my God, this is terrible. And you can see the marketing that, you know, the how you're being programmed. So, and with the coming into this space and really kind of being isolated, I think that's the key. It's not a bad thing because now there's no outside, you know, infiltration, if you will. It's just you and having to sit with you, your thoughts, your beliefs. And when you don't have that, you know, I feel like you have more clarity because again, you're not being bombarded with how you should think, how you should feel, how, you know, what everybody else may have or what you don't have. And you really are just sitting with yourself. And for me, it's been, I don't mind it because most of my life was spent out there, you know, with people, entertaining people, working with people, you know, in the hospitality industry. So my whole, from 13 to 35, I was literally with people all the time. So for me to kind of come home and it's all really aligned up with just having that better awareness and really thinking for yourself and not being, you know, convinced of other beliefs, especially when we saw 2020 happening, you know, I was able to, you know, really stand on my own square with that. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So, and had no problem walking away from certain things that, you know, I had no problem choosing, you know, what I felt was right for me and not having to worry about other people. And I think just because I've spent this time what most may call an isolation, but really it was just with myself, because again, most of my life was spent with so many other people being, and my energy being attached to that. And I had to go through almost like a cleanse of all the other energies just so I could know what mine was. You know, so I'm very grateful for, you know, everything, because I see, and I think that's part of this week and going into next week, because you take all the things and you then now you know, put them to work, because that's another thing with the Queen of Spades. She's not afraid of the work. She's absolutely not afraid of the work. She's not afraid to put in the work, because that's part of her transcending. So be willing to put in the work in yourself. Be willing to put in the work in the things that you desire, your thought, all of it. When you put in that work, it does not go into vain. It will come to fruition. And it transforms into a 6 of Spades. You're literally going to get what you put into it, you know?
Yeah. So let's work.
So
let's get
I do
our
have
work
to jump
done
off,
this
though.
week. Huh?
I have to jump off because the little one is pacing.
No, you're fine. Yeah, so yeah, that is literally going into next week. The work that you put in, you're going to get the return, whether it's negative, positive. I do have to say that I didn't take responsibility of doing some things I was supposed to this week, so we're going to see how that works out for me. But hopefully I'm not sweeping floors instead of doing the things I'm supposed to be doing. So, but mental attitude, let's think positive, right? But we appreciate y'all. We'll be here next week to talk more.
So next week, by the way, is Christmas Eve, y'all.
Oh, okay.
I may be driving that morning, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm actually now that I think about it, crap. I probably will
be home in the morning.
Okay.
But you won't be. You'll be traveling then.
I may be traveling, yeah, at this time.
Well, just let us know.
Okay.
May be able to adjust if y'all still want to do it. Y'all still want to do the show next week?
I might be able to. Let me see what I'm going to be doing, and I'll let you know. We may have to change once I get to my destination. I can do it.
Okay, no problem. And also the other side.
So maybe you want us to do it later, is what you're saying, Gina?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay, no problem. Yeah,
we'll
that's
just
fine.
Communicate.
And also the other side of the space is health and sickness. I haven't been feeling too well, but adding all your herbs and taking in information, as J-Lo saying, learning from everyone else. Be open, be thoughtful, take care of yourselves, and hope you all have a wonderful holidays coming up. So
yeah, send us the link for that stuff you're taking, Rashad.
Okay, sure.
Would you guys want to do it on Saturday, the day before?
Yeah, that would be fine. That's fine with me.
Just for this week coming up. Okay, we'll text. So
yeah. I'm open too, honey.
Okay, cool. That might be better. And then
appreciate you both.
Real quick, I want to say I'm running a sale right now until December 31st for readings. I'm doing the $50 off again. Good way to look into 2024. You know, where are you sitting? What's coming? Is an 8 of Hearts year that we're about to go into. So our emotional, we've coming out of a 7 of Hearts, you know, of really understanding your emotions and that unconditional love of self. And now with that 8 of Hearts, you know, taking that, it's a lot of emotional power. It's boundaries. It's, you know, it's being able to be an infinite source of love, because in this year you had to see it come from yourself to begin with, you know. So I'm running a sale on readings, $50 off till the end of the month or end of this year. Yeah.
And those are like just a regular reading, not the weekly things that you do.
Yeah, no, it's either like the year. We can look at into 2024. You can do a birth card reading, a relationship reading. I have family readings, so it's $50 off all of those.
Yeah, and the 7 of Hearts has taken toll on America. Marriages, relationships, betrayal. Man, it's been a rough year for the relationships, and I'm not.
Oh, you think so?
Oh yes, yeah. When I look at America and looking at the energy, I see like what is people, you know, being reflected, and what are we learning? That's how I look at it more. Not.
Oh, very good. Think about relationships, it just end like that. I mean, people just disappear.
You're right.
All right. Well, he'll be back. I agree. Seeing those, yeah, there's definitely changes happening, and Thanks, Gina. What does the readings cost so that they're $50 off of what?
So it brings it down to $95.
Okay, great.
For a reading.
That's like an hour reading that people can have and check in about 2024 and learn more about the cards and work with you.
Yep.
Awesome, honey.
I've been posting about it on Instagram. The link in there to book is in there on my Instagram page, Guided by the Cards. So
That's
it's
so
great.
great.
I love, I know for me personally, my Jupiter period starts literally on January 1st.
Oh, okay.
So the beginning of the year for me is a good time to expand. So I think that's good to know, like, what period are you going to be right as January hits.
I'm gonna look. I like that one.
Where I love to look at different ways to see what's playing out. So and thank you. JLo said her readings are awesome. Yes, thank you so much. I love them. So
that's awesome. Very cool. Well, I'm in my 3 of Hearts, and Miles is in his 9, and the Queens are coming, and we should have a great week.
Oh, good. Yay. I don't know where Rashad is, but
there he goes. I was just there.
I'm sorry. I'm
That's
back.
all right.
But yeah, not as far as like the people and relationships. There's been a lot of like betrayals within relationships. A lot of relationship issues, especially looking at the 8 of Hearts, using your emotions as an advantage as well. So going up into the 8 of Hearts, people using those things to kind of bring out the I guess negative sides, like the 7 of Spades, right? Looking at the worst possible things that you could. But yeah, it's definitely been a year of people having to, like Gina was saying, having to look within inside yourself, find that love for yourself, and create a personal relationship and also being honest. I think just being honest of who you are and what you want out of a relationship, and not holding everyone else to the things that you want. So being able to, I guess, have this unconditional love, which love comes with conditions, but unconditional love within yourself, and understanding of other people and who they are. So yeah, the 7 of Hearts year I think has taken a toll on us with as far as like publicly and what the media has presented. So now I look at the world and the astrology is like what is being publicized, what is the lessons that everyone is speaking about and talking about, So yeah, between and that Pluto with P Diddy, I think that's why I said curiosity killed the cat with the 3 of Diamonds and the 2 of Hearts. Your insecurities within your relationships can get out of control. So yeah, especially with the 7 of Hearts, 8 of Hearts, a lot of insecurities lies with those cards, I think. So yeah, going into the 8 of Hearts is going to be using that power of love for ultimate good, I think. So don't want to hold this up too much longer.
Doesn't the 8 of Hearts, it's karma cards are 7s.
Yeah,
yeah, there you go. So it and that's the thing. If you did the work in this year, you'll have those boundaries. You'll have that power to where that having that unconditional love for self will then attract healthier relationships that you see clear. Getting that clarity that you're not living in a fog of or not seeing it for what it is because you are on such an emotional swing or having like I said, relationships bring your fears, your attachments, all of them, not to project to the other person, but to really work within for yourself. Why is this? What are you, afraid of? And I think when we move into the 8 of Hearts, if you've done that, you'll feel emotionally more mature and stronger to be able to handle, handle relationships better. Now we also know that that's a very attractive energy, playboy energy, so and I think that comes from loving yourself.
Yeah, when you got a good vibe and you think you're all that, like, again, being at the door last night, you could tell how a person felt about themselves the way they walked in that door.
Yeah,
how they were dressed, how they looked at you, like I could just tell every person. And I'm gonna say there was a self-love in the air, but it was not the self-love. But then there was sometimes somebody walk in I got me, I'm in it, and I'm like, and you can feel it.
Yeah.
So the self-love, they say the 7 of Hearts are the fashionista, 7 of Diamonds. So you are how you present yourself. How you, like you said, the way you walk and talk can show the love and the way that you treat yourself. So thank you all. And 7 of Hearts have to let go. So some relationships, things you just have to let go mentally. But thank you all. We'll talk more next week.
Yeah, we will.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
guys. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Rashad.